While remasters can be great since we get updated graphics and bug fixes and performance updates to classic games, half the time companies put out terrible remasters hoping to make some quick money from people that have nostalgia for their titles. And I've seen a lot of people voice how excited they were about this Chrono Cross remaster. I even remember seeing a limited physical release talked about on social media that I almost bought into before we heard about all of the problems it has. But I'm glad I didn't, since this remaster is one of the worst I've seen. The performance is terrible, there's bugs and glitches everywhere, but they also decided to make some changes by censoring outfits that were a little too revealing and altering dialogue they deemed as sexist. I have a few things to show off, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month or supporting the channel via YouTube memberships. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So I wanted to start with the Sankaku Complex article, and then I have a lot of tweets and images to show. It says, Japanese games compromised, Chrono Cross remaster censored in Japanese and English. So, even more censorship has been discovered in Square Enix's Chrono Cross Remaster, Chrono Cross The Radical Dreamers Edition, this time altering dialogue to be less offensive to women, and the worst part being that both the Japanese and English versions of the game were changed, which rarely ever happens. Of course, it's Square Enix. This is why I am not surprised to see them do this. Now, I hate hearing this excuse that game companies are altering content in titles to be less offensive to women, because it's like they don't even talk to women. They just change things hoping that, oh, maybe more women will buy this. Maybe we won't get canceled over this, because I've seen examples of the original dialogue and of the original outfits, and as a woman, I don't see why anyone would really get offended by the things that they change. They are changing things that don't really make a difference here. It says this censorship was found soon after it was learned the game covered up the pantsuit of the female character Marcy, kowtowing to the corrupt narrative in the West that sexualized fictional women are offensive. I also think that this is ridiculous, and I know I've voiced my thoughts on censorship a lot here on the channel, but I will continue doing so. I think that it is absolutely absurd that companies are releasing remasters for games and they're changing around content from games that were released 20 plus years ago because they're afraid to be canceled, because they're afraid people are gonna get offended. If someone is getting offended by this content, they were not going to purchase your game in the first place, and companies need to realize this. If these people were showing up to buy these products, I'd understand why they'd want to make so many changes for them, but they're not. All you are doing is losing the people who are actually interested in your product. It says a Twitter user shared screenshots comparing the English remaster's dialogue for one scene on top as compared to the scene from the original game, the bottom image. So, the original dialogue said, could you, like, break her in a little? You know, make her act a little more ladylike? And oh no, it's 2022. We can't have that term anymore, ladylike. Oh, you're not allowed to be ladylike anymore because they changed it to, could you, like, make her be a little nicer to me? Oh my gosh, this is what someone got offended by? I want to see the image of someone complaining, whether it was on Twitter or Instagram or in private emails to the company, because I truly and genuinely do not believe anyone would complain about this unless they are a massive social justice warrior and they don't like things like gendered terms. And actually, what surprised me a little bit is the fact that they also censored the Japanese dialogue. Usually the Japanese dialogue is left alone and it's as close to the original content as possible, but they also decided to tone it down and change it from to be ladylike into to be kind. I think that if this was the only instance of censorship and they only changed this line of dialogue, a lot of people would overlook it because, like I mentioned, a lot of people were very excited about this remaster. But unfortunately, for people who were excited about this Chrono Cross remaster, they made a lot more changes. I mean, the Square Enix ethics department strikes again. Just last week, I was talking about the ethics department going into games and changing outfits, toning down character models, and they've gone into this game and censored outfits and dialogue they're deeming as sexist and inappropriate, which is absurd because it's a video game. It's really not that serious, but I wanted to share this comparison. On the left, it says the original character models. In the middle is the classic mode, and on the right are the new models. Now, it is important to note that in the game, there is options in the settings that says graphical style, and you can set it to new or classic. But if you choose the new graphics, which a lot of people want to use, you are going to get the censored outfits as well as the censored dialogue. So, it says original classic new models. On the classic mode, you can clearly see their underwear showing. Their skirts go up so you can see their pantsuit. It doesn't really look like there's many other changes, at least from this angle. That kind of seems to be the base change here. But if you look at the new models on the right, you can clearly see that they're no longer wearing like panties. They're wearing these like under the skirt shorts, which look absolutely ridiculous. And I know that there are some people on social media saying, oh, it's because of the ages of the characters. Oh, it's just because these characters are younger. It's a video game though. Okay, if it was fine when this game originally came out, why is it not fine now? The only difference now is that people get offended over literally everything. There is absolutely no point to change these underwear. There really, really isn't. It's a video game. We're talking about fictional characters in a fictional world doing fictional things. Is it really that serious if they're wearing panties or if they're wearing shorts under the skirt? I'd also like to point out that this game came out in 1999, okay? I am only a year older than this video game, and I'm sitting here completely unaffected by the fact that in the original game, they were wearing panties instead of shorts. I'm not sitting here getting offended over literally everything. The people these companies are trying to pander to are not purchasing their games. They need to listen to actual consumers, people who are really going to purchase their products, and they need to stop making dumb changes to games like this and actually focus on giving us a good product, because it's not like this game is a solid remaster either. If we go over to this article, it says Chrono Cross Remaster's shocking frame rate issues lead to worse performance than the PlayStation 1. This is absurd, okay? They are focusing on the wrong things instead of making a very solid remaster. No, they're more worried about making changes to outfits in dialogue that could be a little too offensive. It says we were hoping that Digital Foundry would take a look at Chrono Cross the Radical Dreamers Edition, because as we explained in our damning review of the new PlayStation 4 remaster, their performance issues that plague this re-release simply aren't acceptable. In its latest analysis, Digital Foundry pretty much echoes what we found during the aforementioned review process. The game's frame rate is generally quite shocking, dynamically dipping all over the place both while exploring and in combat. Chrono Cross remains a really good PlayStation 1 JRPG, but the fact that it somehow runs worse than it did back in 1999 is a disgrace, unable to hit even 30 FPS a majority of the time. This game has bugs, it has glitches, it has terrible performance, it has censorship. I personally am not going to support this game. I am not going to touch it with a 10-foot pole at this point, and I don't think a lot of other people are either. I know that a lot of people wanted this to come out. They wanted it to be a solid remaster. Unfortunately, this seems like one of the worst remasters that we've ever gotten. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.